Hi, everybody. Welcome into what we hope will be a weekly video about Helena Senator baseball. My name's John Kemper. I provide play-by-play for Helena High football as well as basketball. If you're a Capital fan or family, don't hold it against me. Um, but this is something that I talked with Coach John Barnett a little bit about last year, and then this year we're able to get it going. So, what you can expect, hopefully on a weekly basis, sometimes schedules don't really align, especially with baseball and how many games that the Senators and Independents and Reps play, is a weekly video that we will talk to Coach John Burnett about the team, about how things are going, and look ahead. And we will also talk to a couple of the players. And this is just a way that we can highlight the American Legion program here in Helena and bring a little bit more of a spotlight to it. I think the Helena IR and the TV stations do a great job, but it just seems to be a great idea to be able to have something on social media as well, on the Facebook page, and hopefully we'll put it up on Twitter also. So with all that said, this is our first video, and had a chance to have a Zoom call with Coach John Barnett. We had a few little technical difficulties, some issues with connections, so tried to edit those out as much as I could. But this is, like I said, our first video with Coach John Barnett, so hope you enjoy, and I'll catch you at the very end. All right, Coach, John Kemper here, and just wanted to talk a little bit about your team from, how the standpoint of how this season's gone so far, and then start looking ahead into your conference games, because you start that tomorrow on Wednesday against Bozeman, if I'm not mistaken. So you guys right now 17-6. Is that accurate on your record?
Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
Awesome. And some stats that really jumped out to me: 12-2 in the last 14 games. You guys have scored 10 plus runs 9 times in that 14 game span. 60. These last two blew my mind. 60 more walks than Ks, and 12 players with more base on balls than Ks. That's amazing to me to read. So I guess
it's some. Oh, sorry.
Nope, you go.
I was just going to say it's definitely something that we noticed in the off season. I'm a baseball nut. Pull up the stats from last year, and it's something we talked about in the off season with the players. I don't have the exact numbers, but I believe last year the team was, I believe we're somewhere around like 28-4 when we struck out less than 6 times in a game.
Okay.
And we definitely weren't as good with the record when we struck out more than 6 times. So it's something that we really focused on in the off season was just taking those tough at bats and grinding them out and trying to find a way to get on base. When we have two strikes, our guys really they shorten up the swing, choke up on the bat, and try to get the thing in play.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you. That from last year, were you seeing that much of a disparity between more walks to strikes, or is that something that's totally flipped because of this?
Yes and no. I think as the conference season kind of picks up, I think you're going to see teams better arms for longer in the game. So I think that those strikeout numbers probably will pick up a little bit, and conversely, pitchers they're more sharp, and you're getting your guys. They're putting their guys on the field that can throw strikes. So I think that'll kind of maybe calm down a little bit. That might be just because of the early season, but it's definitely something we noticed and are taking an aim at.
Okay, so maybe as you move into conference, you're going to see guys who can kind of paint the corners a little bit better and really make those pitches look more appealing than maybe what you saw earlier in the season.
Yeah. I mean, I think we will see that. I mean, I can tell you, for my stance, we're gonna ride the guys, that we kind of rely on more on the mound. They're gonna see an uptick in their innings and all that as conference games, get rolling here.
Yeah. How do you teach that kind of patience at the plate? I mean, just thinking back to my playing years, which were brief, but man, it was hard to take a walk. So how do coaches teach players to be that patient at the plate and to work walks and all that?
We talk about our approach at the plate constantly, and our approach isn't, I want you going up there looking for a walk, but it's understanding, at certain points in the count, what kind of pitch we're looking for. Early in the count or when we're ahead in the count, we're looking for something we can drive. It's not just, hey, I can hit this pitch, so I'm going to swing at it. It's something that we can hit hard. And we just getting the guys to buy into that. And it's consistent, daily, day in, day out at BP. My assistant coaches, they try to hit a pitch that's maybe off the plate, and he's asking them, hey, where was that pitch? And what were you trying to do with that? And if their response was, well, I was just swinging because it was close, then we're kind of addressing that at that point.
And is that something you guys are trying to do program wide, from the Senators down to the reps and to the independents?
Yeah, I think so. And kids that, there's guys on the Senators now that have been in the program for 5 years now. So they've been getting it for the past 5+ years. And it's just something we try to remain consistent with. And we did, in the off season, we really stressed it. So I think the guys are really buying in.
Yeah. And how do you feel about where your team is at right now at this point in the season as you get ready to go into conference play?
I like where we're at for this point of the year. I think we're playing pretty good baseball. We're still relatively early. The real season doesn't really kick off until school gets out. I would like to see us a little bit more consistent. We kind of ride the waves. We're either really high, or then we struggle at times, I guess you could say. So just kind of finding the consistency, and I'm seeing it now in like a week and a half stretch, but then we'll have letdowns. But hopefully we can find that consistency and start rolling. Our goal is not to be playing the best baseball right now. Our goal is to be playing our best baseball at the end of July.
Yeah, absolutely. And as far as you guys, I mean, what's some takeaways as far as things that you've been impressed with your team at this point in the year?
One of the main things, like you talked about, it is just our patience at the plate. It's not only, I mean, we're not. Yeah, I think that's probably the main thing, because it allows us to do other parts of our game. We're sorry,
No, you're
aggressive
great.
on the base pass. No, aggressive on the base pass, putting pressure on the other team. And, anytime they kind of give us that extra runner, or that extra out in an inning, we kind of strive on that, and the guys just kind of feed on that. So, that's what I've liked the best, is we're able to take advantage when another team kind of has that mistake or that letdown. So that's, I like to see that offensively. And then our pitching's been, it's been really good for this, this early in the season. We're throwing strikes, we're competing, and it's not just 4 or 5 guys. It's 8 or 9 guys that are competitive up there.
Man, how important is that? Not just going into conference season, but all year, to have a deep pitching staff, whether it's arm fatigue or, God forbid, an injury, or maybe someone gets a little bit off, that you can still draw on other arms, and you don't have to depend on 3 or 4 guys.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, and the tournament, the last weekend's tournament was huge for us, because we have these conference games coming up, so our pitchers were on pitch counts, so they were available, our starting pitchers. So we really had to use that bullpen depth, and we had great outings, from great outings from 3 or 4 guys that hadn't thrown much. And what they gave us was great to see, and that kind of builds the confidence as a coach for if you do get into one of those situations.
Yeah, and just talking about that Memorial Day tournament in Missoula, I mean, 5-0 is what I saw. You guys scored 60 runs in 5 games. So again, that offense just really clicking.
Yeah. I mean, we played different types of baseball all weekend. First day was kind of sloppy, and I didn't think we played very good. And we talked about it after the games. Even though we won 2 games, we definitely weren't excited with how we played. And then Sunday, I thought we played 2 great games. came out and slugged against Coeur d'Alene and put 14 on the board. And, that they were a very good team. I would not be surprised if they, make a run in and maybe we see them, well, if we can advance that, but they might make it to regionals and we might see them down the road. But then, we had that great outing from Burton there against Hamilton, and he went 6 2/3 and did great for us. So yeah, we wanted different, different aspects of the game, slugged it out, played good defense, scraped some runs across, and came away 5-0.
That has to build some confidence with your players, and the team when you win different ways. And it's not just a slugfest all the time or close games, but you can put a variety of different types of wins, over the course of a weekend. That has to help build their confidence as they move into the season, I would imagine.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and we've kind of been struggling with that. We'll go out and beat a team 15-1 or 50, 10 run them in a quick game, and then we'll get into a tight contest, a 2-1 ball game, and it's almost like we don't really know what to do because we're used to being up big, and those are honestly some of the games. Those are honestly some of the games that we've lost.
Okay. Yeah. So you got a couple guys back in Cy Miller and Ethan Kientz. I mean, that has to be nice to have a couple guys that are coming back from a year of college and college baseball to be able to come back to your team. How has that benefited your team? And I know they've only been back, I believe, just this weekend, right? But how has that benefited your team?
Yeah. Their first games back were in Wednesday. So they haven't even been back a week yet, almost a week. And they're just what they bring to the field and kind of the work ethic that they're approaching things with. That's huge for our younger guys to see, and not just on the Senators, throughout the whole program.
Yeah, absolutely. I would imagine just seeing those guys and the fact that they played some college ball, this first year, and then they come back, that has to help your program. What have you seen growth wise from those guys? I know, again, just about a week that you've been back with them, but what have you seen from them from last year to this year in their growth as not just players, but as people?
They're bigger, they're stronger, kind of that aspect of it. Definitely. You could tell that they've been working to get, to where they are. But just the level of maturity that they approach the game with, they've grown quite a bit over the past year. When things don't go their way, kind of how they approach it has changed definitely from what we've seen in the past.
Are they the type of guys that are vocal in the locker room or on the bench, or are they more quiet and lead more by example?
They're both pretty vocal guys, which is good because our team has a lot of quiet leaders, before they were here. So that was kind of one of our struggles. So to get them back and to get that vocal leadership, it has been big.
All right, so let's move into conference play because you're ready for that. You guys, Wednesday, you got Bozeman in a doubleheader. Just looked really quick at your schedule. You guys have already played them, I believe, 4 times this year. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
3 times.
I only asked because some websites have the 2020 schedule, and then your guys are actually at the 21 schedule. So it was nice. But you've had a couple close games, a couple 1-run games, 1 2-run game, and then there was a blowout 11-1. And that was in that 12-2 run that you guys are on right now. But what, I guess, with Bozeman, what do you expect from them this season? Or what have you seen from them so far this season?
Yeah, they were, 2-time defending state champs, and they had a really good run, and there's still a couple of those guys are still on the team, and they can really play baseball. They have some good ball players. They do have more younger players this year. So it's not necessarily the same Bozeman teams we've seen the last 2 years, but that they're still scrappy, competitive, and if you give them the chance, you leave that door open, they're gonna give you a tough ball game for sure. And they've proven that to us. But last time we played them, they kicked our butts. So yeah, they're a tough team for sure.
Yeah, how do you feel like you match up to them when it comes to your pitching and their hitting?
It skipped on me, John. I didn't hear that last
Oh, sorry.
question.
I was
Sorry.
just asking, how do you feel your pitching matches up against their hitting?
Uh, I pretty good, pretty good. If our guys are on, I think we can we can have a pretty tight ball game. The big thing with these games coming up is how we approach the bottom of their lineup. If we if we can't get the bottom of their lineup out, and the middle of their order comes up with guys on base, it might be a long day for us. So we've got to attack the bottom of that lineup. Got to play solid defense, and that yeah. I mean, yeah. So we do have to attack that, and yeah, keep their good bats. Hitting with nobody on or one guy on, and yeah.
Yeah, limit that as much as possible.
Yes, sir.
So looking at your schedule, you actually have four of your first five games are against Bozeman. You have these two, and then you actually have the rest of the week off. That's got to feel nice after playing a whole weekend tournament. And then you play Great Falls, and then you're right back into it 2 days later with a doubleheader again down in Bozeman. So how do you feel about having 4 games in your first 5 against Bozeman, a team that you do know really well?
It just kind of the way the schedule worked out this year. I would prefer to, probably play them a little early and then later in the year, just so that things could shake out. You never know how it's going to shake out, but that's the way it worked out this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess just a side note on this, last year, obviously we're in the middle of COVID. I went to several games last year, and just how you guys had to manage that whole thing of making sure people were doing what they needed to and making the announcements you needed to. But this year, obviously a little looser, as people are getting vaccinated and all of that stuff. But how nice is it to actually be able to play games in front of stadiums or fields that have a lot more fans than they did last year?
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to be able to focus on the baseball. Just to go out there and play and not have that kind of other thing hanging over our heads that we had to manage. It's been really nice this year, and the players know, they can look at the schedule. They know we're going to be playing. Last year there was just that uncertainty that surrounded it, and
that's never fun to wonder. I mean, one test and it's done for 2 weeks, So yeah, it's been nice. I've gone out to a couple games this year, and just to see how many fans are in the stands has been very very exciting to see, and not just casual fans, but fans that are pretty involved in the game as well. They seem to know what's going on. So it's nice when I think you can appreciate that as a baseball fan, when you go to a game and people know what's going on, instead of sometimes you go and they have no idea what's going on, and you're like, that's a double play or whatever it is, So other teams in the double A that you feel are, more the upper echelon, and I'm not trying to say other teams are, I don't want you to talk about teams that you think are garbage or whatever, but other teams that you feel like are going to be a challenge for you this year.
Yeah, the double A is tough every year. If you're not on, any team can beat you. Every team has an arm or 2 arms, and if that guy's throwing well and you're having a rough day, they can knock you off for sure. But from what I've heard, and we haven't seen them, but I've heard the Royals in Billings they have lots of good pitching over there. They won the state Class A with the Blue Jays last year, so I've heard that they're pretty tough. Kalispell, they came down here for one game, and I don't think we got the full look at them. It was rainy out and all that, and lots of other things going on, but they beat us pretty good down here. So and they have lots of guys back from that team last year too. I think they finished third in the conference last year.
I thought it'd be kind of fun just to maybe each week talk about a couple players.
Okay.
And I was just going to start at the numbers and go down. So I thought first, wanted to ask you about Quinn Belcher and just the type of player he is, and then what he brings to your team.
Yeah, sure. Quinn's, this is my first year getting to coach Quinn, as his actual coach. He's been in the program for a few years, played on the reps last year. Just hard nosed, kind of fiery spark plug type player. He's always running, always moving. Just the ground he covers in the outfield, it's really fun to watch him out there. So yeah, I was excited to get to coach him this year because he allows you to do a lot of things. Even if he's not in the starting lineup, I can insert him when we need a stolen base or we need that speed on the base pass. Defensively late in the game, he's going to be a guy that's in there anytime we have a lead, just because of how good he is out there. And then as a person, he's just a fun kid. The teams our team loves him. Just his personality, it's kind of something that everybody wants to be around.
And then the next one was Tristan Mooney. Same question, type of player he is, and then what he brings to the team as well.
Yeah, Tristan's he's been a fun one to coach for sure. It's kind of funny to watch his progression through the program, I guess you'd say, because he's been that player that we've always advanced, at a younger age. He was on the reps, I believe, as an 8th grader. He caught varsity as a sophomore. So now he's finally getting to where he's playing against kids his own age. He's always played against kids that were older than him. So it's been fun to watch him do that. And even when he was a year or two younger than everybody he's playing against, he competed like crazy. He's a very good defensive catcher. The way that he receives pitches behind the plate, little to no movement, gives the umpire, that nice. He frames that ball, gives him something good to look at, and then that does great on anything in the dirt. Don't have to worry about if we're going to call, or he actually calls the pitches, but we don't have to worry about if there's 2 strikes, if he's going to block it, or if it might be a pass ball, because he's just great, good athlete, good basketball player, and he brings that to behind the plate, that work. And yeah, he's just been a fun one to coach for the last couple of years, and I'm excited about kind of what his future has.
Yeah. Okay, question for you. I thought maybe we'll just pop a question in here each week and challenge you. So are you ready?
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
You need one pitcher, this major league, whatever pitcher you want to use, but you have one pitcher to get 3 outs to win a World Series. What pitcher are you going to go with? All right, so Coach Burnett got cut off right there at the end, and I think it'll be good. You guys can tune in next Monday or Tuesday and hear what pitcher he would go with to win a World Series. As me being a fan of a certain team from Los Angeles, it's a tough one to admit. It's a good one that he picked. It's just not an easy one for a fan of my team to say, yeah, that's a good one. But on Monday or Tuesday, you'll find out what that is. We'll also catch up with Coach Barnett, talk to him about the games that the Senators are playing against Bozeman on Wednesday, and get you set for next week, as well as talk to a couple players. So hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for your time, and we will see you next week.